It is not your fault that you're purposeless, that you don't have a meaning in your life, or at least you don't feel a meaning in your life. You feel purposeless. You feel that you don't have a meaning. You feel bad. You feel all these different emotions. But it isn't your fault. As I have said in many of my earlier videos, I do not understand why people don't try to fulfill their biggest purpose. But that you or them or anybody else, that isn't the problem in today's world. The problem is social media, the extra dopamine, the excessive consumption. You have become so numb to all this dopamine, all this stimulation, that you're so incapable of taking action. They don't do anything. It's not inherently your fault. It's you took the action to scroll, or you had an addiction to scrolling, so you do scroll, but that makes you not capable in most cases of doing a productive act than later, because the scrolling is much more dopamine inducing than the work you need to do, the school task or whatever. That is also why there are many good videos about a thing called dopamine loading. Dopamine loading works by you waking up, you're doing low dopamine activities, you're doing the most important work early in the morning, the low dopamine thing, and as the day progresses, when you have done all of the most important tasks on your list, you start to incorporate more dopamine inducing activities. So then in the evening you can freely watch Netflix or indulge in some video games, if that is what you're in for. Other things you can do is go all in, you just cut out all the dopamine. But as I'm telling you, it isn't you that are purposeless. You have a purpose in your life, you have a meaning in your life, you just haven't found it yet. And you fall deeper into this loop of consuming, and you keep on consuming and consuming and consuming a bit more. I have felt this myself, and I still sometimes do. But I try to counterwork it. I try to read books, I try to read fiction, I try to do other things, but I understand you, it's really hard, because these apps are designed to keep you addicted. They're designed to keep you scrolling and being on their platforms, because that's how they make money. These apps trigger sudden dopamine surges. It's like unpredictable rewards like likes and notifications, the pop-up notifications on your phone. If you still have that, I just can't expect you to not be a dopamine gremlin that tries to seek dopamine from every single place, because those are designed for you to get addicted. It's just, oh, I got a new message, then I gotta go check that. What can it be? It plays on your evolutionary factors that we have ingrained in us humans so that we would have survived earlier. But those things, the world isn't as dangerous as it was 10,000 years ago, when these things, this personality, these traits of humans were important. But now they are getting used for something like social media. It triggers you. It keeps you on the platform, keeps pulling the lever again and again and again, so you keep on scrolling, keep on consuming. This makes you numb. This takes up all your mental real estate. It takes up everything you think about. That's why you don't have the processing power to do something that you actually want to do, and that's just really bad for you. That's why many people, and me included, think that you should have something creative output like this. You talk, you get your thoughts, you get your ideas, you get information out of you. You write, you draw, you sing, whatever, but get something out of your brain. If you just keep on collecting it, you become fat in your brain. You get fat like you store in your stomach. That's not a good thing, that's not healthy for you. Too much of something is too much, it's excessive. This is a slot machine function, these social media apps that you are addicted to, the TikTok, even YouTube Shorts, or all these short videos. You scroll and no, you don't know what will come the next scroll, the next 5 minutes. And that's also another interesting thing. You don't remember anything from these doom scrolling sessions you have had. Just that thought about you not remembering something that has happened with your life in the last like 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I understand if you don't remember what you learned in the morning or saw in the morning, in the evening, but 10 minutes of doing this. You don't remember like 3 scrolls away. That should ignite some alarms in your brain. that means something is wrong, because our memories aren't that bad. Our attention shouldn't be that bad, and our memory shouldn't be the same as a goldfish. That is something wrong with that. But that's how these apps work. You forget that feeling of feeling bad. You feel shameful. I bet you have had that feeling of, oh, I should not be doing this. I should quit doing this. I should do something else. I should go do something else. There comes up a video, tells you to do something else. This isn't worth your time. Some motivational video. But then you fall into the trap. You scroll one time. That's over. It's over. You keep on scrolling. That feeling, sure, it may not fully go away, but you forget about it for a moment. So that's why many hours go past, you scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling. Then you look back, bro, where did my 5 hours go? Okay, 5 hours for me at least is really excessive. If I scroll, it feels like an eternity. I don't get sucked into that as much anymore. I do get sucked into it, but not as deep, like fully immersed as I get in books and such. A half an hour for me feels like many hours. But for many people that are stuck in this dopamine loop, that don't know, that don't meditate, that don't do these things that also I do to train my mind to realize my emotions and realize how I feel and what I'm doing and such, they don't do that. So that's why suddenly people feel like they have lost an hour. They have lost an hour, but it felt like 5 minutes. I kind of had the reverse of that. It feels really long. It's almost forcing. And that's the interesting thing also. Do you really find it fun? Sure, it might seem some funny video sometime, but do you actually really, are you grateful that you were scrolling for 5 hours last day, this day? You had an assignment to do which you procrastinated on. Now it's 9 p.m. You should go to bed at 10. You have an assignment due by tomorrow morning. Are you grateful that you scrolled away these 4 hours that you actually had this evening to be able to do the assignment? Are you happy for that? Are you grateful for what you have done? Are you grateful for your past self, even though it's basically it's a self you have now, but are you grateful for the past self that did this to you? This is one of the core ideas of the self-improvement community. It's the idea of delayed gratification. If you don't, in this world today, we are overstimulated, too much instant gratification that we can, with one click away, reach. So if you have the ability to push it away, push those instant gratifications away into the future, or to never do them, isn't the best thing that you do something currently that improves you currently and in the future? Don't you want to in the future be happy for your younger self? What most people my age and many other ages do nowadays is they punish their future self for something that they haven't even done. That is the hedonistic mindset. Doing something currently that punishes and doing something that does something bad for your future self because you just keep on pushing it on somebody else. That's a defense mechanism. That's called projection, and that's not healthy in the long run. It's not good for you. That's how you keep on having stress, anxiety, problems that never get solved because you never take your hands off your phone and actually get down to doing something. That's why you keep on being stressed. That's why you can't do anything else. That's why you keep on complaining, oh my god, I'm so stressed currently. Well, no shit, you're not doing the thing that you need to do to get that stress away. There is always a reason for your stress. If you don't have some mental illness that for some reason you have more cortisol in your body, but for average humans like us, there is a reason for your stress. You may not realize it, you may not understand it, but that's because your dopamine receptors are fried. You don't realize it because you're stuck on your phone scrolling. You're numb in your brain. You can't think clearly, and that's why you can't solve that problem. You can't even realize you have that problem. You just have the feeling. The feelings don't go away. You have those feelings, but they also become less and less. You become more and more numb to also great feelings. That's why if you have been on a hike somewhere, you haven't had your phone because you don't have any battery or any way to be on your phone. There's no internet. That's why you can experience so many more great sensations. You can experience so mind-boggling, mind-blowing feelings, so just insane sensations, insane views, insane dopamine indulging activities. And those aren't bad activities because they are natural. These are artificial things, these phones, these artificial things that are just meant for stimulation. They are artificial. But these natural views, the forest, everything like that, you feel a lot when you are in those situations and you haven't been on your phone indulging in too much. But when you have been indulging a lot, you don't feel those same sensations when you are in the forest. You may just feel bored. But what you're not realizing is that the forest is actually one of the best ways for you to relax, to become calmer, to become in that way better. But you don't realize it, so you don't go to the forest because you think it's boring. Boring, this is what most of us haven't realized. But boring is actually a good thing. We remember from us being children when we were lying on the ground, screaming, fighting, being so angry because we didn't have anything to do. But the interesting thing there is that by doing that, by being bored on the ground, you found something interesting to do that developed your mind to think, to process, to find a solution. But now, in today's world, we don't have that. That's why these kids, I find it insane that these kids have a phone from when they are born in their hands. They just scroll. The parents don't teach them to do some other things. I'm not waiting to see what this generation becomes. But the other thing is, this generation also has much of the information, and many are actually waking up and realizing that this isn't good. Because the same thing that is spreading this bad thing, the social media, many videos are actually spreading good things that are waking up people for what is actually happening around them. But I'm eternally grateful that I grew up in an era, or at least in my young childhood, that I didn't have a phone with me 24/7. Sure, I may have used my mother's phone once in a while, but I wasn't dependent on it. I got my first phone when I was like 8 or 9. Sure, that's pretty early still for many people, but I'm grateful that it wasn't when I was like 3 or 2. That's just what I'm really grateful for, at least that I wasn't born some years later, so I would have been a totally different person because of that. I hope that you can understand this and take some actions on reducing what you do with your phone. I myself need to do this also, because I have gotten lately into much for some reason, distracted with this phone. A good way to solve that is by journaling, understanding what is the root problem. Don't try to fix the symptom, try to fix the root problem. Then the symptom is fixed automatically by itself, a self-repairing process. Your body is a self-repairing. It repairs itself when it needs to. So find the problem, solve it, and keep on living your life becoming better.